Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again on my YouTube channel. This is Workshop Quick Takes. We have an unusually warm winter evening going on right now, so we're going to try and tackle a common problem on our projectXJ. This is the 2000 Jeep Cherokee, and even though we've completely rebuilt the rest of the steering and it seems nice and tight, we're getting a real loud, obnoxious cracking and popping when we steer. And it kind of sounds like it might be coming from the front left, so it's likely a very common problem on these, and that is a cracked bracket behind the power steering pump. You can go to almost any 4x4 outfitter and buy really nice, high-quality replacements. They usually come powder-coated and the whole bit. Or you can do what we did, go to Amazon or some other gray market site and just buy a cheapie. Now, this is welded steel, and when we went through the process of cleaning it and painting it, we cleaned it off with wire brushes and sandpaper, and then got a coat of rust converting primer onto it, and then put flat black spray paint on it. And you can see, looking up close at it, that it's got weld spatter and other signs of low quality construction, but at least it did have a nice heat ring around each of these on the back side of the steel, which means the weld's probably penetrated, so it'll work. And if you had to go buy that paint from scratch and do all that work straight up front, you'd probably be better off just buying a nice high quality one in the first place. But this works for us, and we keep painting supplies around all the time for all of our projects. Now, the steering box, of course, lives right down there underneath the power steering pump. The underside of it, of course, is right here where you see the pitman arm. And we don't want to let this fall while we work on it, so we'll need to tie it up with a couple bungee straps or something while we're engaged in work, because it'll yank on the steering input shaft as well as its hoses, and that's what we don't want to happen. And that box in turn is secured over on this side of the frame rail by a bolt here, and a bolt there. The stock bracket behind it apparently in most cases is aluminum, and that tends to be its downfall as it breaks really easily. It might be easier to get at it if we pulled the front tire, but since we don't have a wheel liner in here and can see that fairly easily, let's at least give it a shot. To gain access to the steering box from the top side here so that we can support it and whatever else we need to do along the way, let's go ahead and get the electric fan removed. Now, I've replaced these bolts, so they'll come out tonight with a nice 8mm head, although I think if you have the stock factory ones, which are smaller, it's 5/16. And then tonight I'm also going to remove this one because I've got a tie point there for the overflow. We'll just leave those right there where they're nice and easy to find. With this loose, just kind of put it out of the way there for now. E-fan has an electric connector down here that we need to unclip. Not that way. Hopefully we don't need to remove the air box tonight, but if we decide it'll improve our access, it is an option. Oh. Ha! Got it. And then this should pop out of this connector's down there and come straight out. And there it is. Now we've got good visibility on the power steering box down there. I'm not sure what the best way to support that is. What I do know is I don't want to play with this without a good reason, because that adjusts the tension on the pump, and if you get that too loose, it'll be really sloppy, and if you get it too tight, it'll wear the box out. If it's still working after all these years, it's probably at the right position. Now, those bolts in turn that hold it in are back here through some castings. Yeah, you can kind of see one of them coming through right there just at the bottom of the radiator. We're going to try and get some PB Blaster on those, but it won't film very well, and you've all seen PB Blaster, so we just want to put a little bit on there to start soaking those bolts so that hopefully they come out without too much of a fight. First, though, let's figure out how we're going to support this. The other thing I need to watch out for is I've got a power steering cooler line right across the front of this. That, unfortunately, is tighter than I intended. So let's see if I can go get another one, and actually maybe 2 or 3 even, and figure out another way to loop one maybe around the pitman arm. This may not prove to be my best idea ever, but it's the start of something. It at least won't just drop straight down if it proves to be heavier than I already imagining it to be. 16? 16 it is. Well, they turn, so that's something. They're not happy about it, but they're able to do it. And then this one up here, oh man. Might have to pull this bumper cap after all. I was trying to avoid doing that. Okay. There we go. If I understand the construction correctly, there's tubes welded in here. Oh, yeah, a little blue Loctite, so that's kind of why they're fighting. It's not surprising. We should probably do the same when we put it back. Let's go ahead and remove, I want to say this one, and then we'll come to this. That one's also pretty gnarly. Now, the one I'm not sure about is this third one. How quickly does the box start to drop when we get that out of there? So we'll just start loosening it and then see what happens to the box under the hood. Okay. Okay. All three bolts are out, so now I have some trepidation. Okay, I do see the box sinking a bit. Looks like it is putting some tension on the straps, so that's good. It means I caught it. And there's our bracket underneath for whatever that's doing. Well, I hit all three bolts with the wire brush and they cleaned up fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not pitted or anything. So now let's see if we can get that steering brace out of there, because that's what needs to come out. It might be warped, it might be cracked, it might be fine. Never know till you get it out. Yeah, it is just right there. Now, I don't see any evidence that this is broken up like they sometimes do. So, I don't know what's actually going on down here that's making all those cracking noises. We'll go ahead and replace this because a heftier, solider unit definitely won't hurt anything. But this doesn't appear to be our problem at this point. Something else is going on down here that we'll have to track down. Now, the way that was in there was kind of like this. That means our heavy-duty steel replacement's going to have to go back down in there roughly the same way. Like in kind. Blue Loctite out, blue Loctite in. Almost. There we go. That was a little more stubborn. I don't know exactly how tight these really want to be, because we are going into a cast iron housing, and it's possible to split a cast iron housing. They're blue Loctited, so after curing for a few minutes, they're not going to come back out. We'll give one final check with the breaker bar here. Okay. That feels roughly like how it came out. At this point, should be installing my quarter cap. Well, these actually worked. Thankfully, everything's held in there well enough that it didn't just try to drop straight out, but that was worthwhile. And remember, there were 4 of these with hooks on each end. And since these hooks can pop off of these bungee straps, I want to make sure they all come out and don't end up somewhere I'm not expecting. There we go. Last step. E-fan needs to go back in down here. Make sure that little guy's plugged back in. Heard it click. This one over here. Route that back around. And finally, anytime you've been messing over here, it's a good idea to make sure that the fan is clear of the guard, that didn't get shifted into a bad spot. And I'm not seeing anything. So, all good. All right, start up and test it again just like we did before. I have a feeling it's still going to crack and pop though, because I didn't see anything wrong with that aluminum brace that would have been making it do that. Usually what they're known for is cracking into a couple different pieces, and then the box can kind of shift around in there. Didn't have any of that going on, so it's better now than it was before, and I'm not unhappy that I did that, but I've probably still got another problem to solve, so let's find out. Yeah, that problem's not solved. Don't know what that's all about. We'll have to get under there and look around a little bit more. Maybe film some more steering operations and just see if we can see something shifting or moving. It's dark now. We've run out of light. We've run out of supplies to work on. Well, we came back the next morning and had some suggestions from a forum. One was to tighten up this pin bolt here just in case it had worked loose. And it turned out it kind of had. I mean, it wasn't loose, but it was enough that maybe this was popping back and forth. Or up here where the track bar mounts up here, that bracket has 2 bolts right there and right there, and then 2 more on the back side up there. And we checked, 3 of the 4 did tighten up slightly, and after getting those taken care of, the popping stopped. So we'll see if it comes back. If it does, it could be that the point where the track bar attaches to the axle down there is actually wallowed out, and we'll have to do a long-term fix over there. For now, we're just going to wait and see if it comes back and where. Since it's in the frame, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Even if you happen to watch this in the middle of summer, there it is, bright and cheerful looking at you. Thanks for joining us again today, and we'll see you again next time, whenever that is. Has anyone seen my phone?